congratulations. It is absolutely phenomenal. So going into the first question is like, where did the idea for The Chosen come about though?
Well, in 2017, I did a short film for my church for our Christmas Eve services. I filmed it in the spring of 2017, and it was about the birth of Christ from the perspective of the shepherds.
Yeah.
And it was about 18 minutes long. And I remember while I was making it, I thought, I have learned more about the backstory and the emotional impact of this story in 18 minutes than I feel like I have in any portrayals of the birth of Christ that I've seen. And I thought, while I was doing it, I was also binge watching lots of shows with my wife. And I remember things that I love about watching multi-season shows is how you can go from season to season and really get to know the characters, really get to dig deep into the stories and take your time and have an emotional connection with them. And that hasn't been done in a Jesus project. There's been movies, there's been miniseries, but they always tended to go from Bible verse to Bible verse, miracle to miracle, and you could never really dig in to the characters or to the stories and have any kind of emotional connection. And I thought, there's never been a multi-season show about Jesus before. That would be really great. We could really explore all of these stories, but in a really deep way and really get to know the people. And so when I was done with that short film, that was the thought was someday I'd love to do a show that's, multi-seasons about Jesus. And then when that short film got into the hands of a streaming service here in the States, and they heard my idea, they thought it was great, and they thought the short film could be the catalyst. It could raise the interest in crowdfunding the show, and so that's where it all started.
So, and what is your experience prior to because I know you make a lot of reference to the short film you've done at church, but what is your experience in the industry like though? What have you done before though?
Yeah, no, I've been doing movies and short films for over 15 years. Wow. I had just done a feature film with some really big production companies in Hollywood, and it didn't do well at the box office. So when that movie bombed at the box office and all of those companies backed away from any future movies that we were planning to do together, I was left with nothing. I was a director with a very bright future because I had several movies that I'd already made that had done well. I had more movies that we were developing. And then when my movie bombed and did poorly at the box office in January of 2017, I didn't have all of my opportunities fell away. And so I did that short film for my church just because I thought, that's all I had to do in front of me was this opportunity to do this short film. And it was on my friend's farm here in Illinois, and it was done very low budget. But I remember just when I was doing it, I felt really good about it. I mean, it felt like it was really good, but it was only supposed to be for our church. So yeah, I'd been doing movies and had a career for 15 years before that. But when I did this short film, I wasn't sure what was coming next.
And then the casting for it, how long did the casting take for The Chosen though?
I would say it took a few months. The quickest role that we cast was Jesus because
the previous
5 or 6 years earlier, I had done another short film for my church about the death of Jesus, the crucifixion, but it was from the eyes of the two thieves on the cross.
Yeah.
And when I was casting for that out of Los Angeles, we were shooting it in Chicago, but I was casting the actors, those three main actors, and I had a hard time finding someone who could play Jesus. And then Jonathan Rumi, I had him audition for Jesus because he had auditioned for one of the thieves.
Yes.
And he did a good job, but there were two other guys that I liked. And so I said, well, he should audition for Jesus because I can't find anyone else. And then he was just amazing. And I remember when we were shooting the short film, I thought, this is one of the best Jesuses I've ever seen. Like, it's so emotional and connective. I just thought it was brilliant. And so then we did a few other short films and vignettes for my church, just little things here and there over the next couple of years. So when it came time to do the show, that was the first decision we made. So then the other roles took a couple months, and some of them were hard to find. I mean, Mary Magdalene was really hard because that's such a difficult role.
Yeah.
And finally we found Elizabeth Tabish about 2 weeks before filming, and she was just amazing. And so we've gotten very fortunate. God has blessed us with some amazing actors who kind of came out of nowhere for these roles.
And then, common things. So where did the idea for Pay It Forward come about?
So late last year, we were selling DVDs, and we were offering people the opportunity to see episode 1 for free. And then if they wanted to see the rest of the season, they could pay money to watch it online. And it was going slowly. And people liked episode 1, but getting people to pay money to see the show was challenging because we weren't a big studio project. And it's like you were saying, you were skeptical. And we just had a lot of people who were skeptical and just didn't know what to think of it. And it was hard to get them to pay. So we decided to make it totally free, and then say to people, if you like it and you want other people to be able to see it for free around the world, and you want to also help fund future episodes and seasons, you can pay it forward. We just every time people saw the show, they loved it and they wanted to do whatever they could. So we thought, well, maybe let's just let them see the show. Let's just let them watch it and see what happens. And then they can support it if they want to. And sure enough, as soon as we made it totally free and totally easy to access, and then they paid it forward, the income quadrupled. I mean, we got more, the income just, people kept, when they would finish watching it, were like, I want to see more. I want other people to see this. And so that's when that pay it forward concept came together, and it proved to be perfect for what we were doing.
And at this stage, you've shot how many episodes though, when you introduced the Pay It Forward concept?
Yeah, eight episodes. So the season one,
the entire season.
Yeah, so the whole season was done, and we released it on. We released the first 4 episodes in. Those were released in Easter of 2019.
Yeah.
And then the second 4 were released Thanksgiving. And that's when we put out the whole season for free on our app. And that's when we let people just download the app for free. And that's the other thing about the distribution that's brand new, that's really interesting, is you download the app and you can connect it to your streaming device, and you don't need a subscription. You don't need to pay anything. It's totally free. And it just connects directly to your streaming device. And so we just went outside all of the distributors and the whole Hollywood system, and just went straight to the people. And then they've been wanting to pay it forward. And then,
so are you open to places like Netflix? Because now obviously you're largely viewed throughout the world. There's just nothing but amazing. You virtually broke every category in a sense of the streaming category, top 21 of the most download apps, one of the most watched shows on YouTube, on the video streams. So obviously it grabs. Did you have any of those guys approach you to say, listen, let's partner, let's do something? And are you open to that conversation though?
We've had a few people, but not Netflix and Amazon and some of the big ones. They weren't all that interested. I don't think they've even really paid much attention to it. It seems like most of Hollywood and the media have just kind of ignored it. Yeah. We don't really want that though, because we're building something for 7 seasons.
Yeah.
And we want to keep control of the content. And we're also the show's really doing well on its own, and we're generating income on our own. And we believe that this can be extremely successful, and we can create a new way of doing things, a new system. And that's how, I mean, the big streaming services, I don't think they're very passionate about doing a Jesus show.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just have to do things on your own. And I mean, your magazine, you know, I'm sure some of the luxury brands that you guys have you know, written about and catered to, a lot of those were started on their own, and they did it outside of the system. And we feel like that we have the most potential doing it ourselves.
I think so I do a lot of business talks on Fridays. We do it live on our Facebook and stuff like that. So we just invite what we consider thought leaders and people out of parliament and stuff like that. So your business module is what we consider a disruptive business module. It doesn't form into a grid, and it creates its own category now, you know. And it's like, if you look at social media and those things, 20 years ago, there was no category for it, and it's the leading category. You know, it didn't make sense, but now the world's conformed itself to be part of what you consider being current. You know, so the timing it's perfect, because one thing I liked about what I saw, you're doing the Beans Jesus, you're unashamed of what you feel you're called to, and it creates a bit of a category. People know now who you are. I mean, I am sitting on the tip of South Africa, chatting to a company in Hollywood, and they referring me to your work. So it leads me to the next question, though. So what is the format for the other seasons, or are you just going to see or see what you feel God's saying? But are you going to run it through into Acts to Revelations? You're going to go back like you've done with going back into the Old Testament, giving a bit of a foretaste of what it looks like?
Yeah, we've written the first 4 episodes of season 2, and we're writing the second 4 right now. I'm actually working on episode 5 right now. It's going to be similar to season 1. We're going to pick up the story where it left off at the end of season 1. And yes, we will occasionally do flashbacks to the Old Testament. We've got a special Old Testament character who kind of makes an appearance in episode 6. But we don't have any plans right now to do like the Book of Acts or keep going within the Chosen. Now, when the Chosen is done at the end of season 7, we'll end with the resurrection of Christ and cover the Gospels. When that's done, I might sleep for about a year, but then we'll people keep asking like, oh, you've got to do the Book of Acts, you got to keep going, and I'm like,
I've seen
one season at a time. So I could see, I think there's a lot of great stories to continue with in the Book of Acts, I mean, the Apostle Paul is an incredible character. Yeah. So I would love to do that. If God wants me to just tell Bible stories the rest of my life, I certainly wouldn't resist that. But right now, I just really want to focus on one thing at a time. I feel like my story with this whole project has been really captured in the story of the feeding of the 5,000. No, and it's not my job to feed the 5,000. It's only to provide the loaves and fish. Yeah. And so my loaves and fish right now that I'm providing are, I'm working on season 2. And then if God wants to multiply that and wants me to keep going, that's up to him. But right now I'm just taking it one day at a time.
Yeah. What do you feel God's saying now, though? Like in 1 minute, like in one decade or generation, you don't really see us. You see us coming in drips and drabs. You'll get a whole room, and you'll get something that comes at once a year, and then it just kind of crescents down again. It's like you don't hear of the Christians again. And now what you've got is this movement that you've created. There's this movement, and it just looks like, when you can't stop, it's like a tsunami. You can't stop it even if you try to. It's like even if you try to do whatever, it's too late now.
Right.
The horse is pulled back, and it looks like it's been barren, and now it's just come in gushes, and it's in every language. I've seen the Philippines, Australia. I mean, Cape Town, South Africa. I'm not lying to you. More people I chat to said they're watching it. So the people I'm trying to convince to say, but no, we're watching it. I spoke to a guy yesterday. I was getting coffee at a place, And so he asked, because he knows I do the Friday Zoom chats. So he asked, are you doing one Friday? So I said, I'm not actually, because I have one the evenings that I wanted to put too much on my plate. And he asked, who's it with? And I said, I'm not sure if you heard of The Chosen. He said, dude, I'm watching episode 2 right now. And I thought, this is absolutely. So I said, okay, explain the movie to me quickly. He said, no, I'm now with Matthew. I said, okay, you're watching the right movie. It's definitely the same.
Yeah. Well, just so you know, the actor who plays Moses, you know, in the beginning of episode 7,
yeah,
when you see Moses and Joshua at the very beginning, and Moses is making the serpent. His name is Stelios Avante. He's South African. He's an actor who's done several projects in South Africa, but he's a very, very, very proud South African.
So what do you feel God is saying now, though?
Honestly, I don't know. I try not to predict too far in advance. I just do it one day at a time. And so right now, I know that I'm supposed to just continue to make the scripts as good as we can. And we're looking for our location on where we're filming. And I'm eager to see what God has next for season 2. We're trying to figure out what to do with COVID, because that's been a challenge to figure out our safety protocols so that we can get started. But we really want to shoot this fall. And but honestly, you know, God hasn't given us more than whatever we need for that day. So I can't see the future, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. So, you know, when God speaks to me, it's typically when I'm writing, or when I'm putting together our plan for an episode or for a story. And I don't feel like God shares with me what his plans are for the future for this show. And that's better for me. I think it's better for me to trust one day at a time, like the Israelites, when God gave them manna, he gave them just enough for that day. And he even said, don't store it up, because if you do, I'll make it rot. He wanted them each day to have their hands out for their daily provision. And that's what I'm doing. Okay.
Do you feel like we can add value, though?
No, I mean, I think it's best for people just to watch it, and just letting people know how to watch it, how to get the app. And then, if they love it, then they'll want to pay it forward and watch it. And then if they want to pay it forward, they can.
Dallas, I want to say thank you very much for your time. Congratulations for everything you guys are doing. You've really lifted the lid. I'm extremely sad that I've done episode 8. I just don't know. I should have taken longer to watch it, but it was every day I just had to watch it. I wasn't sure how it was going to fall in. And I must say the brilliance behind it and the excellence behind it really came through loudly. So congratulations to you and your family, because I know it's a family effort. It's like you just don't see the wife and kids, but the background work that's the biggest sacrifice, because.
Oh yeah. All right. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dallas. You take care.
Yeah, you too. Sure. Bye-bye.